Today we're going to be taking a look at the absolute cheapest knives in CS2. Most of these are actually under $100 US, which makes them accessible for a huge portion of the player base. I've also provided currency conversions into Canadian dollars, pounds, and euros so that you don't have to do the work. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. But before that, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away some Shadow Daggers, Blue Steel, in field tested condition. All you need to do is subscribe, like, tell me your favorite knife in this video, and leave your Steam trade link in the bio of your YouTube channel. Good luck. The prices you see in this video were taken from Buff Marketplace and were converted using Google's own currency conversion. The first knife on this list is the single cheapest knife currently available on Buff Marketplace, with the Navaja Boreal Forest in Battle Scarred. Despite it being the least expensive way to move on from your default knife, I wouldn't really recommend buying this, as you're probably going to be made fun of in game for having a Navaja knife. The Navaja knife in and of itself is not really desirable, as it has a very small blade and a bad looking handle, so if you have a little bit more money to spend, I would recommend the next option. The next knife on the list is the Gut Knife Ultraviolet in field tested condition for $95 US. You may be surprised to see a field tested knife in this price range because it was only about $3 more than the Battle Scarred version, and I figured that most people can usually find that in their pockets, so why not put it on this list? For only $5 more than the previous option, you actually get a very nice knife that you can pair well with gloves in the future. This knife isn't really slept on and looks a lot more expensive than it actually costs, so I think this is a great option for those looking to just get into the knife scene. This knife should also be fairly easy to sell, so when you want to upgrade, it shouldn't be too much trouble for you. Up next, we have the Shadow Daggers Blue Steel in field tested for $96 US. Not only are these knives blue, which is hard to get in a budget price range, they shine really nicely and look a lot more expensive than they actually are. Shadow Daggers have good animations and can pair well with cheap gloves, so I think this is an excellent budget option. If you like Shadow Daggers but prefer something a little more understated, the next option is just for you. At just $1 more than the Blue Steel finish, you can have Shadow Dagger Safari Mesh in minimal wear. In my opinion, the Blue Steel looks a little bit better just because I like the shine, and personally my favorite color is blue, but if you like a more understated look, this is the one for you. Gloves like the Mangrove and Rattler are my budget picks to pair with these. At just under $100 US, we have the Gut Knife Urban Masked in field tested condition. In my opinion, this is one of the better knives you can get in this price range, as the animations are solid, it's one single blade, so it's not Shadow Daggers essentially, and I think that it's easy to pair with gloves, and it's also very easy to sell. So in my opinion, I would really go for this one if you can. I would also spend the time to do a bit of hunting to find it in the lowest float possible. As the title of this video states, I looked at the cheapest knives available on Buff, and so I literally sorted by cheapest price, and this is what came up next. I wouldn't really recommend the Navaja knife in Blue Steel or any Navaja knife at all, just because of the value proposition. It doesn't look very good, the blade is small, and the handle always seems to be damaged no matter what float you get. But if you do like Navaja knives, I'm not hating on you, and this is probably one of the better options, as I really wouldn't recommend the first option we listed, which was the Boreal Forest. Next up, for $99 US, we have the Shadow Daggers Freehand in field tested condition. This is one of the best knives in this price range, as you get a nice purple color and a solid design at a very cheap price. This is one of the benefits of Shadow Daggers, as you can often find higher tier finishes for lower prices. Finding purple gloves in this price range to pair with these Shadow Daggers might be a bit tricky, so I recommend finding some black or white gloves to make the Shadow Daggers pop more. If it were up to me, I would personally go with either these or the Shadow Daggers Blue Steel. Next up, for $99 US, we have the Survival Knife Safari Mesh in well-worn condition. I don't really have a strong opinion on this knife, as I think it's kind of mid. The animations resemble the default knives a lot, and the finish is sort of meh, but the blade design is really nice, as I like the cutouts, the jagged edges, and also the angled edges. I think in this price range you can do a lot better, as you can get something a little more flashy, as this one might fly under the radar. With that being said, I don't think this is a bad option, it's just not the option for me. Now this is what I'm talking about. A Gut Knife Brightwater field tested for $103 US. Out of all the knives in this list, this is personally the one that I would buy myself, as I'm a little bit partial to the Brightwater finish, as my first knife was a Bowie knife Brightwater. The animations are great, it's easy to pair with blue gloves, and this looks a lot more expensive than it actually is. If you want to look good for cheap, this is the one I would buy. For just $1 more than the Gut Knife, you can get a Falchion Knife Boreal Forest in field tested condition. In my opinion, this knife is equally as good, it's just that I prefer blue, so that's why I'd buy the Brightwater. The animations on the Falchion knife are arguably better, as your stab animation flips the knife after you're done, and the rare inspect balances the knife in your hand. So if you like to show off a little more, I think this is the one for you, but it all depends on your color preference. Make sure you tell me down below in the comments which skin in this video was your favorite and which ones you might add that weren't shown today. Make sure you leave your trade link in your bio so that you have a chance at winning those Shadow Daggers. Good luck.